Good evening, Lawton. This is the Sunday Evening Crier for December 28th, 2025. On this Sunday Evening Crier, we're going to look back at the events that took place over the course of 2025 that we covered and give a little bit of an explanation of what happened last week at the December 18th Lawton Economic Development Authority meeting. We did not air a show last week, and I want to acknowledge that up front. A significant Lawton Economic Development Authority meeting took place on December 18th, and under normal circumstances, we would have led with that coverage immediately. However, family responsibilities took priority, and as a one-person newsroom, that sometimes means choosing timing over speed. With that being said, the meeting happened, it mattered, and we posted that LEDA meeting in its entirety so the public could review it directly on our YouTube channel. Tonight's episode is about context. Based on that December 18th meeting, that does not stand alone. It connects to a full year of decisions, disputes, and direction setting that will shape 2026 and future council actions. The December 18th LEDA meeting was not a routine meeting. It was an important meeting that covered several formal actions on Westwin Elements and a significant movement on Firehawk Aerospace and a long-term TIF obligations tied to Republic Paperboard. These aren't abstract discussions. They involve land, contracts, incentives, and a lot of public money. Probably the most followed part of the LEDA meeting included the approval of the joint resolution by LEDA acknowledging written notice from Westwin Elements that it is choosing not to proceed with Phase 2 of the amended redevelopment agreement. That is, the full-scale commercial refinery. LEDA's leadership explained that the project was structured in two phases. Phase 1, the demonstration facility, still active and governed by the existing obligations through June 1, 2026. Phase 2, the commercial build-out, the portion in which Westwin has elected not to pursue under the current agreement. Importantly, this action ends public entity obligations under Phase 2 while leaving Phase 1 intact, and the door open for future negotiations if circumstances change. Following that, the Lawton Town Crier filed an Open Records Act request seeking communications between Westwin, LEDA, and the City of Lawton. We were later informed that the city has identified approximately 1,700 emails potentially responsive to that request. We are working with the city to narrow the scope of our request, focusing on decision-making correspondence so that the request could proceed in a reasonable and transparent way. That process is ongoing, and we will report on the records when they show up and when they're released. Looking at Firehawk Aerospace, that's where TIF meets reality. The same meeting also moved the Firehawk Aerospace project forward in some concrete ways. The authority, LEDA, approved a construction manager at-risk agreement with Ryan Herring Construction, including a $110,000 pre-construction fee. A fee structure capped to the total CMAR compensation does not exceed 6% of project cost. LEDA also approved a term sheet with CCIDA for acquisition of the 320-acre Firehawk site priced at $1.92 million, paid through TIF increment revenues, 35% per year with no interest. A floor amendment removed a fixed time limit, meaning payment continued until the obligation is fully satisfied. This is how projects move from concept to commitment and why LEDA matters as much as the City Council. Looking back at some stories in 2025 include the LEDA fraud investigation, and it's still unresolved. The fraudulent wire transfer involving public funds took place earlier this year. The city confirmed that $224,840 tied to LEDA was fraudulently transferred and is under investigation with the assistance from the Lawton Police Department, the FBI, and U.S. Secret Service. We followed up directly with City Manager John Ratliff during our October 19th Sunday Evening Crier. His response then was consistent with the fact that the investigation is ongoing and details cannot yet be shared. What we do know is that internal policies around wire transfers and verifications were changed as a result. This is not a closed chapter, and we will continue to follow this story as we go into 2026 and we examine more of what happens in LEDA and with council policies. Another important story from 2025 goes back to very early when we restarted the podcast. It's a $4 million reminder. In 2025, we also included one of the most consequential votes of the year, the City Council's approval of a $4 million settlement in a federal civil rights lawsuit. The decision carries long-term financial and policy implications, including how the city manages risk, accountability, and public trust. Settlements like this don't exist in isolation. They interact with budgeting, insurance, and future policy decisions. Examining other things that happened this year in 2025, courts, fines, and the cost of justice. This year brought serious discussion about municipal court operations. During the July 8th City Council meeting, council members debated raising police and fire training costs funded through a $10 municipal court fee, a fee the city cannot raise due to statutory caps. That led to a discussion about whether Lawton should pursue court of record status, a move that fundamentally changes how cases are documented, appealed, and potentially fined. Only Oklahoma City and Tulsa currently operate courts of record. Lawton has made no decision, and the implications for residents, transparency, and costs are significant. Be sure to look at LawtonTownCrier.com for the full story that we covered back earlier in the year. We are also tracking ongoing budget pressures throughout 2025, including discussions tied to FISTA, capital projects, and how the city prioritizes long-term infrastructure spending. Budget decisions often happen quietly, but they determine which promises become projects and which remain plans. This year, we also saw that the City Council changed its meeting structure, moving public comments to the after executive session. Many residents strongly oppose this change, and the city's position has been that extended public comments can detract from city business and that not all cities offer public comment periods. Regardless of the viewpoint, process matters, and how meetings or structures affect public access and transparency. If 2025 wasn't busy enough, voters approved charter amendments this year, formally adopting the Mayor's True North framework. A key part of the framework is transparency. We'll leave that point here for now. 2025 also saw some reshaping of the City Council. Lane Hooten was appointed to Ward 1, Teron Epps was appointed to Ward 2, and both will be required to run for their seats in 2026. And in the starting of 2026, we'll see two new members on the dais, Tiffany Demery in Ward 4 and Kirby Brown in Ward 3. If you would like to have some more information on the Ward 4 runoff and election, go to LawtonTownCrier.com and look up some of the stuff that we wrote about the runoff election, and also look at YouTube with our channel where we have a number of things posted that you might find interesting. The City Council that governed Lawton in 2026 is going to look very different than the one that started in 2025. 2025 was the year that we came back as the Lawton Town Crier. We covered City Council, LEDA, economic developments, tax increment financing, public safety and surveillance technology, courts, budget, settlements, elections, appointments, charter changes, open records, and how government responds to them. We also welcomed a wide range of guests across our podcast, elected officials, candidates, community leaders, and subject matter voices, and we did it consistently and on the record. In the coming months, Lawton Town Crier will continue to expand. The old crier has grown a great deal, and we're building towards the next phase of what this outlet can be. We've been working towards a broader peer recognition, and we'll share more when the time is right. Well, that'll do it for this week and for 2025. I'd like to thank each of you for watching, reading, and staying engaged. And as always, I'll see you at City Hall.